A lot of time, let's take a patient that can only walk, let's say 60 feet. The person can only manage 60 feet at a time before the person has to sit down and rest. Okay, let's say the person is 65 years of age. Okay, let's say they have lung disease. Okay, all right. This person's ability might not be very high. Their willingness might be up here. Like they're willing to give it the best shot they can. Okay? This is something we commonly see in pulmonary rehab, where somebody's willingness to try to do whatever they can, but their ability isn't very far. What we need to do is get that person where their current ability is only maybe a 2, okay, but their willingness is 7, all right, a solid 7. What we want to try to do is get that person's ability to go up in this zone over here, where their ability is very high and their willingness is still pretty decent. So how do we manage that? How do we do that? How do we get somebody's ability to be higher, to be able to accomplish more? Okay, so we need a variable. Okay, we need a variable. We need a goal. So let's take the current standard as the current status of the person's walk. Let's just say 60 feet. Okay, let's take 60 feet. All right. So what's the ability here? Their willingness is already at a 7. The person's willing to try everything, and their willingness to do and put in as much attention to their rehabilitation as possible. Okay? If the person's goal is 60 feet and they currently can do 60 feet, then of course they're already up here. Their ability to achieve 60 feet is already at a 9 or a 10, and their willingness is a 7. Okay? They're already up here. So we need a variable. Right now, 60 feet is what the person currently can do. What the person wants to be able to do is 2 miles. So their ability now is probably over here. Their willingness is very high, but their ability is right here. How do we fix that? How do we get that person to go 2 miles without stopping? Well, let's take a look here. All right, anxiety might be high. Is this you maybe? So anxiety. We have to tackle anxiety. All right, work of breathing. All right, person's work of breathing gets too bad. Person stops every 60 feet, so we have to do respiratory muscle training. If they have congestion, we have to do some type of PAP therapy or bronchial hygiene to help remove congestion more easier. We need to pick up the person's lung volumes. Okay. Overall strength is very weak because the person probably hasn't exercised for some time. So we also have to pick up muscle mass. Okay. So if we could increase the person's lung volumes, which is usually always the case, increase the muscle mass, which is usually always the case, help with anxiety, with stress management, and this person's ability will go from here to a higher score. So getting that person up to 2 miles after the lung functions increase, after the person's able to walk and breathe and understand how to walk and breathe, after the person's, it goes through, some increase in muscle mass, increase in lung volumes, increase in pulmonary function test, and that person's ability comes up. Their willingness might be very high, like they're really eager to get started to do this, but their ability isn't so great. So that's the common person we see. That's very common for us to see that. The person's willingness to do pulmonary rehab is very, very high, There are some cases where somebody's willingness and their ability is right on the corner. It's not very high. Their ability is not very high because the person is extremely depressed. The person's depressed, they've done this, they've done that, they realize that this didn't work, and they went to the doctor gave them medication, the medication's not working out as well as they would hope for, and then let's say you have a doctor that said, you'll never fix this problem. Well, that's going to put you in even a worse state of depression, because now you feel like no matter what you do, what's the point? It's never going to improve, okay? You take somebody who's very depressed, their willingness isn't very high because they're very depressed. Their ability isn't very high because they feel like that no matter what they do, they can't do anything, that nothing will improve. From everybody we've ever worked with, went through some type of mental scenario, I put it that way, a mental scenario where they feel like no matter what they do, they should just give up. So somebody's ability, like I said before, could be very, very high, but usually we see everyone who starts out here, usually here. And we have to work on those people. Let's just say the person's 65 years of age. You're taking all the years they've been around, 65 years, and trying to rehabilitate them in a week. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. You will benefit from after a week, but sure. But you're not going to climb Mount Everest in a week. If your goal is to just live a normal, happy life where you can go and walk around the park, you can go grocery shopping, not using a mobile chair or anything like that, electric wheelchair or something, and just being able to walk and do grocery shopping and go shopping and things like that, or work on hobbies, gardening, raking leaves, shoveling snow, then you're in the right place. Once we get you up to a certain good standard to be able to do that, it's your call if you want to increase that toleration to a higher level.